Today, as I've mentioned many times, we have a wonderful speaker, Zulfikar, here from AMCO, the American Muslim Community Organization in Lake in the Hills. We also have another visitor in the back, Bertha. Please be respectful. As I mentioned, we're going to have a presentation followed by Q&A, and we will see how far we get, but we are lucky enough to have Zulfikar here for 3 class periods. So, yes, without further ado, I will let you introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you so much, MCC, for having us here. We feel really honored and privileged to be part of MCC today. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most gracious. This is how we begin every single day in our life, including this lecture today. My name is McHenry. I serve as one of the board members at American Muslim Community Association Organization, or AMCO Masjid. AMCO Masjid is located in Lake in the Hills, Illinois, not too far from here. AMCO serves Muslim communities in McHenry and County areas. We organize daily prayers, Friday services, and educational and organization programs across Muslim communities in the area itself. With me today, I also have one of the AMCO leaders, Rida Hassan, who is with us today. And she leads many of our community efforts over at AMCO. And we do have a flyer for AMCO in case, please pick one of the flyers on your way back to understand more about what AMCO does overall. I also have a book about characteristics of the Prophet Muhammad. And if you are interested in a digital version, please let me know. I will ensure you have one. I would also like to make it very clear that the views expressed is my personal view and it's not AMCO view overall. So let's get started. Thank you. Before I start about Islam itself, there are 2 different approaches I could have taken. One approach is a very straightforward approach, is how Muslims practice Islam and how we can reflect, or any person practices any faith, any tradition, and how it reflects that religion overall. However, what this does is it opens an option for bias based off our understanding, our thinking, our experiences. Rather, it would be much better if the religion talks for itself, what Islam is all about, and that is my whole lecture. In the 3 lecture series, my intention is to make that point very clear as much as I can, that what Islam is all about, what Islam talks about. Okay, next slide. So let's start from the very definition of Islam. Anybody here, can you guess what is the meaning of Islam and what does it really mean? Please.
Lower yourself to is like submission. Like it's the action. It's not really like most religions have like Jesus, like God in a name, but Islam is like an action.
Okay. That's good. Thank you. Anybody else? Any guesses? Let me play a verse from the Holy Quran and we'll go into detail.
أفغير دين الله يبغون أفغير دين الله يبغون وله أسلم من في السماوات والأرض طوعا وكرها وإليه يرجعون.
It's all Arabic. Most of us do not understand. I'll try to explain this in more detail. What God is trying to say via Quran everything is in submission. Everything in the heavens, everything in the earth, everything we see is in submission. And then it concludes by saying that willingly or unwillingly. So the true meaning of Islam is submission, but there is a purpose behind this submission overall. And the biggest understanding, the takeaway is, why should I even submit? When God loves me, when God has created me, what is the purpose of submission here? So there's a concept, that there is a word in Arabic that's deen al-Islam. Deen itself means, there are multiple reasons in Arabic for the same word deen. The most popular meaning, the most understood meaning is disciplining the soul. That is where submission comes. And why do I need to submit? What is the reason to submit? Very first time if I hear the word submit, what does it mean? It's a very negative term if you think about it, right? It looks like oppression. Oh my goodness, I need to submit to something. I'm a human being. I'm a free man with a free will. And that is so true. Correct? So the whole intention of submission is to attain the ultimate peace. That is what makes a human being complete. And I'll go into a couple of details here to make things more simplified. The whole nature, the sun, moon, everything that revolves around us, that is in submission. The sun never tells us that, I'm taking a break for next 3 weeks, correct? Since we know the world has started, we have a day, night, we have everything. Have you ever wondered why the human mind is constantly busy? It never rests. Why do we see the water flowing in certain direction? Even if we try to stop, we can't stop the water. Correct? So, the wind. We don't know where the wind has come from, where the wind is going. We can't stop the wind. Everything is happening for a reason, for a purpose. If we have to come back to our own body for the same reason, my hands has certain movements. It can't go beyond certain movements. I have a nature's call. I can hold myself beyond certain limit. Inside our body, we have heart, we have all the organs. They are functioning in a certain order. Are we controlling them? Or can we control them? We really can't. The reason is, the whole universe, the whole ecosystem is going in a certain rhythm. As a human being, we are at free will. How do we connect to this rhythm to make things much better for us that will help us eventually? Any questions, anybody so far? I don't want you guys to sleep this early in the class. I have a lot to cover. So the whole intention of submission is gaining the peace, the ultimate peace overall. Let's go with a very easy example of how we can sync with the whole idea of submission itself. How did most of you get here? Did you drive? You did whatever, right? Let's take an example. You drove from your home to this college campus, right? And how did you drive? Irrespective of what your mode of transportation was, did you go over your speed limit? Were you driving at 200 miles or were you driving at 100 miles? You were driving close to what the limit was, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why? Because everybody else is following the same system, correct? If you go against it, what happens? You're not in sync, correct? How did you park your car? Did you park in the main street, middle of the road?
No.
Right? You park in a proper parking lot. Now, give me a very simple answer. If you should have parked somewhere in the middle of the street, would you be at peace now? It will keep bothering you, correct? If you should have parked at no parking area, what would have happened? You can't sit at peace. It will constantly bother you. What's happening to my car? Will it be towed away? Now, most of you have your cars parked, including myself, in a proper parking spot. Am I thinking about it? I'm not thinking about it. I'm at peace with it, correct? I know when I leave this place, my car will be safely parked where I left it, correct? So the intention is to understand that we are submitting to something. Here we are submitting to a law, correct? We live in a free country, correct? Doesn't mean that we do things that can impact others, that can impact me as well, correct? We are looking for that ultimate peace. That is the message what Islam is trying to convey. It says everything in heaven, earth, including our body, the organs within our body, every single thing submits to the God, willingly or unwillingly. That's a key message. Why do we need to submit? The reason is very clear: for the ultimate peace. If you don't get peace, if you can't derive peace in your life, you will feel very empty, correct? And we have seen from multiple examples, people achieve their dreams, which is perfectly okay. Islam encourages people to live a fulfilled life. At the same time, if an element of submission is missing, element of disciplining your soul is missing, what happens? Your life becomes very empty. And we have seen multitude of examples overall. Any questions anyone on submissions before I move on to the next slide? There's nothing to move on. Let's move on to the next one.
That's fine. Yeah.
أم كنتم شهداء إذ حضر يعقوب الموت إذ قال لبنيه ما تعبدون من بعدي قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون.
I need one volunteer. If one person can read what it says here. I just need one volunteer. Anybody? Please.
Or did you witness when death came to Jacob, he asked his children, "Who will you worship after my passing?" They replied, "We will worship your God, the God of your forefathers, Abraham, Ishmael, and Isaac, one God, and to him we all submit."
Thank you so much. Can someone read this as well? Please.
Abraham struck his sons to do the same, and so did Jacob among my sons. Indeed, Allah has come closer for you this religion, and so do not die except when you are Muslims.
Okay. So what Quran says, what Islam says overall is the religion of Islam is not a new religion. This was not newly introduced. It is confirming what the previous prophets, the previous messengers had to convey overall. And this has been very clearly documented in Quran with all the prophets. And when we go to Muslim, all the prophets were Muslims according to Islamic tradition. According to Islamic definition, all prophets, whoever came to this world, were Muslims by definition. The reason being that they were calling for one God, one message overall. Let's move on to the next. Quran says about 124,000 prophets and 313 messengers were sent to this world. at different times, and more than 100 scriptures were divine scriptures sent during different times. Quran does not talk about every single one of them. What we know from understanding the history, what we know understanding many cultures, many tribes, these were sent to certain tribes, certain nations for that certain time. Eventually, what Quran is saying is, these messages were messages of truth. It came from God. However, with passage of time, either they were lost or they became more convoluted. And I can go into multiple examples, and I'm not here for comparison, religion or something else. I'm just trying to focus very much on what Islam's perspective is on many things. So the whole thing is, the messages were very, very clear. The messages were one God, live your life with mercy and justice. Why were other messages did not survive with time, and why Quran is still preserved the way it is today? The reason is, God sent those messengers, God sent those scriptures, God sent those times for that particular tribe, that particular nation, for that one time only. And the message was for that particular population, to deliver a certain message. And eventually, the intention was that that tribe will carry that message forward. And for whatsoever reason, we still have very old religions in this world. And from an Islamic lens, we feel that, that the messages has been convoluted somewhere, right? So what Quran is saying is, what God is saying from Quran is, we have come to revive, we have come to clarify that, we have come to fix whatever the gaps were overall. So the message of Quran is, so we have just an example, from an example perspective, we have First Testament, we have a New Testament, we have a New Testament, we have Old Testament. Quran, in that perspective, Quran says, I'm the final testament. The message of Quran was from the Almighty, is very simple, very straightforward. This book is for until end of time. This message is for until end of time. This message will be preserved by me. God has taken the ownership of the message. This time this message will not get convoluted or lost. Thank you. Next. How many of you have heard name of Prophet Muhammad in this room? Okay. What do you know about Prophet Muhammad? There's no good, bad, wrong answers. Go ahead. Yes.
He was the last prophet to be sent.
Right. All are accurate answers, actually. What else? Yes.
He got his revelation when he was in a cave for 40 days.
Yes.
And the first thing it was said to him to read, and he said, I am but he was able to actually read and write.
Yes. So, thank you so much. Please go ahead. You have something else to say?
Accompanied like by an angel through his when he was speaking, or like through his journeys, he was accompanied by the angel.
Yes. Thank you. So here's the thing. I think I'm so happy you came with some homework, most of you, about Islam. Prophet Muhammad was born in 570 AD in a town called Makkah. His dad passed away before he was born. His mother passed away when he was 6 years old. He was raised by his grandfather and his uncle. But he was raised to be a man of integrity and trustworthiness. He received his first revelation at age 40. However, before that time, he was very popular. He was known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. People will go to him even before he was prophet to resolve their conflicts. He was most honest in his dealings, even before he was prophet. When he attained age 40, he would spend some time on personal reflection. This is why he would go to a cave outside of Makkah. The name of the cave was Hira. He would go there for his personal reflection. And one day, he hears a word, Iqra, read. And the first thing Prophet responds back, he was completely shocked. And one of the first things he responds back is, I'm unlettered. I do not have formal education. I cannot read or write. The first word ever that came from God to the Prophet was Iqra. Iqra, the whole meaning of Iqra is read. And then there is a huge story around this. This is the time when Prophet Muhammad received his prophethood from Angel Gabriel. The first person to accept Islam was Prophet's wife. He goes back home. He is completely nervous, shaking, and he shares what happened with him and shares the message of oneness of God with his wife. Initially, and again, monotheism, persecution. So for 12 years, Prophet Muhammad's sole mission was to spread the message of God. And just like most prophets, he had to face a lot of issues within the society. Why? Because the wealthy would be compromised with their power. The wealthy would have issues with their control. So he had his companions who accepted Islam ran into multiple challenges. And this continued for a very long time. After 12 years of constant struggle, Prophet and his companions migrated to city of Medina. Again, this was a divine revelation. He was instructed to move to city of Medina, north of Makkah. When he arrived in city of Medina, a lot of things changed. The first Islamic calendar started when he arrived in city of Medina. The first Islamic society, the first Islamic community started in city of Medina. There's a whole documented constitution, I would say, on Muslim society, on society of Muslim. And this not just talks about Muslims, it talks about non-Muslims as well. Prophet Muhammad, while in Medina, and it's very clearly documented, his fight was not always about Muslims and Muslims only. It was about the residents of Medina, people of Medina. And that is how he expanded his teachings. overall. Any questions, any before I move on to the last sermon?
Nathan has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do you know how long after that community was established, that calendar was established, that it began, or that it was documented?
Oh, the whole documentation piece?
Yeah,
I'll go
so-
into documentation when I talk about
Okay.
Yes, I think that's
I
a
was
very
curious what the time gap was between the action and documentation.
yes, definitely. We will go into that. I have a slide dedicated to that. because it's a very valid question you have. If Prophet Muhammad was unlettered, right? How is that he's able to transmit this information, right? It should be a scribe. We'll talk about that in detail. Thank you for bringing that up. In case I miss it, remind me again, but that will definitely come up. Anything else? Okay,
Oh, I think we have one more.
oh,
So, if I understand correctly, Muhammad became the favorite prophet, but there were others, right? Muhammad became the leader of the prophets, the main source of inspiration, right, to Islam. But there were, what happened to the other prophets?
who came before him?
Yes,
You mean in what sense? I mean, they
delivered the message.
delivered the
Now,
message.
did Muhammad incorporate their thought?
Yes, because it's one message.
Okay.
What was not incorporated, that's a very good point you brought up. What was not incorporated was a convoluted message.
Okay.
The message that was lost in transition. What he did was he revived the message of the one God. The message of justice, the message of mercy.
Sorry, I went backwards just because you had the lovely piece on the 124,000 prophets. So I just wanted to point us back to that briefly, just because I noticed it from earlier, not to mess you up with your slides. Yes, so just saying, as we kind of looked at from our textbook, we saw that the Prophet Muhammad was seen as the final prophet, but is not to say that those who are Muslim or Islam does not recognize other prophets. Of course, they are recognized, but they are not seen as the final prophet, if I'm understanding correctly.
That is so correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. But yes, not to miss you. Oh, we have another question if you have time.
Yeah. Or we can save our questions for the very end as well. There is plenty of time in the very end, but in case you have any questions in between slides, please go ahead.
How do you know that he was the final prophet and there's no future prophets, or how do you know? So you counted all the other prophets from before him, but like they maybe weren't correct. So do you count any few like prophets after him that might be prophets but not correct?
That's a very good question. That answer is coming. That answer is forthcoming, but none of the prophets were incorrect. None of the prophets, not even one. All the prophets were righteous. This is why they were prophets. Prophethood was given to the most righteous of the time. So none of the prophets were incorrect for that reason. What happened was with the followers, and what happened was the followers, again, followers with every religion and every faith, how we see today, right? The actual message definitely gets convoluted, gets mixed up, gets whatever. But the big picture, what we need to understand here is the scripture got either lost or they were changes by human beings. That was the confusing part. And why